Hello friends, and welcome to another live stream. Happy Wednesday, it's Simon Hurley here, and I'm so excited to be joining you for some crafting. I figured I'd stop by in the middle of the week to help us get through the week with a little bit of crafting. Now, I saw in the comments a couple of you guys were excited to see what we have in store for tonight. I do want to just say, not every one of these lives is going to be a product launch. Really, I looked at these lives as a way to connect with all of you guys and craft, but also as a way to revisit older collections and give you guys a ton more inspiration than I was able to in the past. Not having to edit a video makes it really easy to pump out a little bit more card making content for you, so I hope you guys have definitely been enjoying that. Today we're going to be jumping back to a January launch that I did with Spellbinders, which is a really fun space die cutting themed collection. I love these collections so much, and I had a couple more ideas that I wanted to explore using it that I didn't get to test out when it first came out. So that's what we're going to be doing today, creating some interactive greeting cards using this space themed launch. Now, before we get right into everything, I have a couple little notes at the top of the show. The first one being that scrapbook.com is having an 11% off discount right now. If you use code SPOOKY over at scrapbook.com, you'll get 11% off of your fall and Halloween purchase. I will let you know though, I added some items that weren't fall and Halloween into my cart and tested the coupon code, and it still seemed to work on those items too. So don't tell them that I told you that, but if you want to do any shopping, if you've needed to get anything, or if you're inspired by today's live, if you use the links down below and use those coupon codes, that would be awesome, and that really helps support me. Also, and this one is a special and fun announcement, we're going to turn on my work surface for this one because I am so excited. The Simon Hurley blending brush is now back in stock. I told you guys that I was going to let you guys know right when it came back in stock. I had a meeting today with my team at Ranger. They said the ship just arrived, they have it in the warehouse, and it is now back in stock. So this is in stock at rangerink.com. The first link in my description box is going to be the link to this blending brush. Again, using those links helps support me, so I really appreciate it. So a lot of you guys were wanting this medium ink blending brush. So this is so exciting that it is back in stock, so definitely grab them while you can. We're gonna have quite a bit of stock, and even if they do end up selling out, Ranger has another order on the way as well, so we should have plenty of stock for the next couple of months, hopefully. But I am so excited about this blending brush. My reasoning for creating this blending brush is I wanted a brush that had the handle at the top, that also had a really comfortable, quite large grip that was very ergonomic. So me and my brother custom designed this, completely custom, and it's got kind of a silicone feel to it, so it feels really luxury. And then you've got flat bristles that are really nice and compact. The flat bristles were really important to me because I find that you get a smoother, more even coverage along with the flat bristles. I was really inspired to do this because a lot of the makeup inspired blending brushes on our market, and I just got this one from Amazon, but whenever you press them against your cardstock, you're kind of just fighting with this handle that's on the side here. It's never super comfortable, and it doesn't really give you the pressure that you'd want in the right areas. So that's where I really was super inspired to create my blending brush that's flat and has the handle at the top, so that you have all of the control in your hands. And I figured I would go in and just show you guys what I mean by that. So let me go in with a stencil here, dive in with this Deco Diamond stencil. This is one of my favorites, and we'll just do some really quick blending, but of course I'll do even more blending with the brush throughout today's live. So we're going in with our new Stellar ink in the color Guppy. I'm gonna go in with this blending brush, and I'm gonna hold it from the handle how it's intended, okay? So just inking this up, and then we'll go in, we can tap it off just to give a really fair look at it, and then we're gonna go in and blend it out. And you can see, as I'm pressing down, if I want a darker color and to apply more pressure, it's really just kind of curving that handle and not really giving you the more pressure that you'd actually want. So it was never really my favorite. It does give you a decent blend, but you just don't have all the control that I wanted with this brush. Whereas if you go in with this medium Simon Hurley blending brush, I'm gonna go in, ink that up, tap off some of the excess to be fair, and then we'll go in and go right on the surface. And what I love so much about this is both blending brushes are gonna start off light, okay? So you can go in with a really light amount of color, but you'll notice it's completely smooth. There's no edge that it's catching on because of the kind of curved edge on here, for some reason it catches more on the edges of the stencil. This gives you just a smoother, more even coverage. But then what I love so much about it is you can give more pressure into the ink pad, and then you can also give more pressure on your surface and get a much darker color right away. It's not so much about like, oh, really building up the color. It's like if you apply more pressure, you're gonna get a much darker color. So that's what I love about this. That handle really gives you all the control and all the comfort as well, because it's a lot more comfortable to hold because you're not holding it from the side. So then lifting that off the surface gives you a nice smooth and even blend. Both brushes give you a really nice clean look, but I do have to say I just love the control you're able to get with the Simon Hurley brushes with the brush handle being right at the top. So again, this is now back in stock at Ranger. It'll be back in stock at other retailers like scrapbook.com, I'm sure very soon. So if you're waiting to shop from your favorite retailer, hold out on that. But if you want the link to Ranger, that's the first link in the description box to go ahead and grab your brush. I told you guys I would let you know when it came back in stock, and I am so excited that it's finally back, because now I can really use it and promote it and share it with you guys a little bit more without you wondering where it's from and being disappointed that it's sold out. So glad that it is back in stock for all of you now. You can get your hands on them. I do want to show you too, this is how I store mine right now. I store them in this kind of lip gloss container. I'm pretty sure it's linked down below, and if not, I'll link it after the live. But I just kind of have it staggered every other brush. This works for me now, but I'm sure we'll either come out with something or I'll find something a little better soon. For me, I have 12 blending brushes. I have one for pinks, reds, orange, yellow, and then like a yellowy green, a teal and turquoise color, a light blue, a dark navy blue, purple, and then brown and black and gray. This is what I find to be really helpful. A lot of people kind of ask me, can you clean the brushes? The answer is yes, you can totally clean the brushes if you want to with just water, but you're gonna have to wait till they dry in between each layer of color then. So what's really awesome about having your brushes individual like this is like this orange brush I'll use for all the oranges. But if I'm going from guppy, or if I'm going from like a darker orange, like Roar, and then I'm going into guppy, what I'll do in between the colors is just go in on a piece of cardstock or paper towel and kind of wipe it off, wipe all the darker color off. And these brushes don't hold color as much as like a sponge would, so you can really get quite a bit of the color out just by wiping it dry like this and then move into the next color. So that's why I find like having the color family is really good, because you can have like 12 brushes, not need one for every single color that you have, and then just switch out between kind of the shades of that tone with the different brush handles. So this is how I do it. Just wanted to show that in case if you're curious and kind of how much you might want. You can also do a gray brush if you want to add that into, if you use grays a lot, but I also could just use those with the blacks. So really awesome that these are back in stock. I can't even tell you how excited I am to finally have them back. All right, so let's clean this up quickly and let's jump right into doing our space themed cards. I see lots of you guys are super excited in the comments about the blending brushes. Lots of you guys saying you love the brushes, which is so awesome. I'm so glad you guys are loving them as much as I do. All right, let's jump right in. So I'm going to go in and start off by doing a little bit of embossing using the Starry Night embossing folder and then the stencil set. Now this Starry Night embossing folder is really awesome because again, it's one of those cut and emboss folders that you have a die that comes along with in the set. So I'll show you guys how to use this. So inside of the package, you'll receive this edge die as well as receive the embossing folder. And what's so awesome about this is you can add in this die if you want to, or you can leave it out. So you can either emboss the background just totally as is, or you can throw in this edge die and it will cut and emboss, which is amazing. So to do this, you're going to open up your 3D embossing folder and you're going to flip it so that the side with my name and the printing on it is down on your work surface. That's because there's actually this little etched line that's inside of here that you're going to place the die into, okay? So we're just going to bring this die right in, and I'm going to just place it right against that edge. Now, there's this little etched area in this embossing folder. You can see it right on there. That kind of locks into place. So all you need to do is place it right up against that edge, and it's going to hold it in place, and that's going to line it up perfectly with the design. Then all you need to do is go in with your mint tape or any sort of masking tape that you might have, and just hold that die right into place. And don't worry about taping over the edge of the blades of the die. It will still cut through that masking tape, so you're all good with that. But that just holds it in place. That gets it ready to do the cutting when you run it through your die cutting machine. Then let's go in and prepare a piece of cardstock. I'm going to go in with my Simon Hurley Stark White cardstock. Now this is the Simon Hurley Stark White cardstock surface sampler pack. This comes with 2 full sheets, 4 card panels, and then 2 top folding and 2 side folding pre-cut and scored bases. This has been a hit with you guys. You have been absolutely loving it. I have it linked down below to scrapbook.com. Right now it's exclusive to scrapbook.com, but this is a great way to test out the surface of Stark White cardstock before you invest in a full 10 sheet pack or 50 sheet pack. So this is a really great way to test it out. And also we sell the card panels and card bases. That's a good way to test all those out too and see what you love. I'm going to go in and just pull out one of the sheets of the Stark White cardstock, and I'm going to show you how to cut this down to work with our embossing folder. So we'll go in and grab our paper trimmer, and I'm going to go in and cut this down. Now, our embossing folder is 3 inches, and then let's see, how large is the design? The design is just a little over like 7 inches, so it's about 7 1/4. So what's awesome about a piece of Stark White cardstock is you'll put it in your trimmer hot dog style, which is the long way. Do you guys say that? I said it the other day to someone and they were like, what is hot dog style? So it's the long way. This is hamburger style, and the long way is hot dog style. So we're gonna put it in hot dog style and cut it down to 3 inches. Trim that right down. And what's awesome about the piece of Stark White cardstock is you can actually do 3 3-inch strips like this before your cardstock runs out. So you get quite a bit out of just one sheet of the cardstock. So you can emboss this 3 times. And then I'm gonna cut it down once more to just a little over that 7 mark, about 7 1/4. And that's going to be great for your embossing folder. Yes, hot dog and hamburger, right? That's how they taught us in school. Learning so much today. Exactly. You're learning about hot dogs and hamburgers. Now I'm hungry. This is unacceptable. All right. So I'm going to go in and trim these down for the embossing folder then, and that's perfect. And now we can go in and do our 3D embossing. Now, whenever it comes to doing 3D embossing, I always recommend to go in with your piece of cardstock, especially when it's thicker cardstock, like your Stark White cardstock, and go in and just mist this down lightly, like 1 or 2 spritzes on either side of the cardstock. This is going to make it so that it's ready to mold to your design, and it's not going to crack or rip under the pressure. If you notice your cardstock is cracking or ripping, definitely try to spray it with a little bit of water, and that should hopefully help the issue. Then I'm going to go in and just lay this right into our embossing folder. Make sure that it's nice and lined up with our design there. That looks great. And then we'll go in and emboss this. Now I'm going to bring in my Simon Hurley Black Platinum Scout die cutting machine. I love this little guy that I designed with Spellbinders. I love it so much because it has metal rollers inside of there, so it's just as strong as a large machine, but I'm able to keep it right next to me on my desk, which is awesome. So it's able to sit up here with me, and it doesn't take up a huge footprint on your desk. But this is like a 3.5-inch opening, so it's quite large. So you're able to really cut a lot of images inside of here. Actually, is it 3 inches or 3.5? Let me check, because I don't want to be false advertising here. I think it's 3.5, yeah. So I'm going to remove these top plates here, and to do our 3D embossing, you're going to lay down the A platform base, then you're going to go in with your embossing folder, your 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders, and then we'll go in with the D adapter plate, which is this hard gray adapter plate that comes in with your machine. It'll come with all the plates. And then we can go in and run this through our machine. But we're gonna look at each other, stare at each other in the eyes here, and run this right through really awkwardly. I had to dust up the space helmet just for this theme here, because we had to get into theme, right? And nothing says making space cards quite like this. Am I right? Yeah? Yeah? All right, let's go in and check out our embossing. All right. So we're gonna go into here and open this up, and this never gets old. This is one of my favorite folders too, because stars really are just so versatile. Of course, you could use them for a space themed card like we're doing today, but I also love that they're really just versatile. Like you could use this for a birthday card or like a party kind of background. I just think, I love the shape of the stars. And these ones are kind of puffy because they're 3D like that. So they have a really cool look to them. Now this isn't releasing yet because we cut our cardstock just a little bit long. So all you need to do then is just go in with your scissors and trim that off really easily, and that will release the edges and cut out with the border. And check that out. You get this really amazing, perfectly cut border along the edge of your embossing folder. I love that. And this folder, again, one of my favorites. So let's go in then. I'm gonna bring in my Ultinew sticky mat here. I'm gonna go in and just wipe this off. So I just use a little bit of water, and then I go in with a paper towel because you never know what I had on here the last time that I used it. I also have been keeping it outside of my storage sleeve, so you never know how much dust got on it. But I do love to keep it inside of this scrapper.com storage sleeve. It actually fits perfectly inside of here, and it's a zippered sleeve. So this will keep all of the dust and kind of gunk from your craft room out of here and keep it nice and sticky. But leave it to me to have that and set it right on top of it and not use it. So that's why I cleaned this beforehand. But once that water evaporates, it becomes really nice and sticky again. And I've been using this same one for quite some time. All right, so then I'll go in with my embossing folder, my embossed cardstock. We'll lay that right down, and then we'll bring in the stencil set. And you can purchase this stencil set along with the embossing folder, or you could purchase the embossing folder separately, but you can't get these separate. So if you want to buy the folder with the stencils, you'll have to buy them in the bundle, all right? Just keep that in mind. These aren't available separately. We wanted to keep it easy and not super confusing. So to go in here, we're just going to, oh, it's the other way around. But all you need to do is just make sure that you can read these numbers, and then you should be on the right side. You don't want it flipped over like this. So that's why that etching is there, just to make sure you're on the right side. But I have this design actually flipped upside down. So let me just flip it this way. But you could do it totally the other way, but I don't want to confuse you guys. So the number I can read here, and then we can go in and line it up really easily with our star design. Just lay it down, and it lines up really nicely with that design on our folder. And the design team at Spellbinders does such an amazing job. I wanted them to do kind of like sporadic stars throughout. So each one of these stencils will cover or color like different random stars. So you get a really cool randomized color all throughout the background, which is awesome. Okay. So let's go in now and do some blending. I'm gonna bring in my medium Simon Hurley blending brushes. I'm glad we can finally say that again. And then we'll also bring in some ink colors. I'm gonna start off with a little bit of Shooting Star. We'll grab our yellow blending brush. And I love these because it really covers a lot of surface area at once. So you can really get in there and color a lot of these stars all at one time. And just go in and blend it out. I also love the blending brush for these stars especially because you can see like it really gets all those pointed edges. Sometimes like a foam tool won't get into those details like you want it to. So if you're struggling with like getting super pointed edges, you might want to try the blending brushes because those are really helpful for getting like super great blends. All right, then let's go in with a little bit of orange. So I'm gonna do a little bit of Guppy in the Stellar ink. And remember, when you're using the Stellar ink, you just wanna do light taps because these ink pads give off a lot of ink. If you're using the Simon Hurley inks, you'll wanna go in with a little bit of a firmer kind of rub on the surface. And I'll just go in and lightly tap this and start blending in some of the stars on here with a little bit of orange. So I do like two-tone on each layer, but you can totally just do one color if you want to. And I'll put my orange blending brush back. And then if you want to, too, to kind of keep up with cleaning, sometimes I like to just wipe off my stencil while it's still on my cardstock because you're just pushing the color back through, so it's just going right onto your design, so it doesn't really matter. But that way, it's nice and clean for the next time you want to use it. And then lift it off, and it's colored in one grouping of those stars perfectly. All right, then let's go in with our second stencil. So again, make sure you can read that Etched number 2. And then we'll go in and line it up with our stars. All right, lines up perfectly. And then let's see, I wanna go in with this one. I'll do a little bit of pink and purple, I think. I think that could be kind of fun. So I'll go in with a little bit of Prom Queen. Okay. And I'll go in and blend this out. So again, you can really have a lot of control with these brushes. So if I want to, I can keep a really light hand and go super soft with this color, or I can go in and go more heavy-handed and really go dark. So you can see like just how much control. That was really good to see, like how much control you have over these brushes as you're blending, which you really don't have with every single brush on the market, which is awesome about these. And then I'll go in with a little bit of 100% juice. Another reason why I love this sticky mat too is because it's quite large. I think this is 9 by 12 from Altenew. So I'm able to stick down my ink pads too, and these aren't gonna move as I'm doing my blending, which is awesome. And I'll go in and just blend a little bit of purple on top. All right. And Donna asked, is this die cutting piece the same as the class that I'm doing September 12th? This one isn't. It's the same concept where it's that cut and emboss, but on September 12th, I'm doing the SBC Fest, and inside of that kit is a floral folder, but that floral folder also has that cut and emboss piece. So it's very similar to this idea, but it's a completely different design. So yes, if you got the hang of this one though, or if you got the hang of that, they both work the same, which is awesome. All right, we'll lift that off. Now you've got a second color going throughout there. I love that. And then for this third one, again, make sure you can read that etched number 3. And then we'll go in and line up our stencil right on top of that last group of stars, and you can just see how easily this comes together, especially with that stencil for really easy coloring across the surface. And for this one, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of clear skies. We'll do really light taps across the surface and do our blending. I'm gonna start off with a pretty light color all throughout, and then like some areas we'll make a little bit darker by going in with more pressure and a little more ink, and then some areas we'll keep a little lighter. All right. And then I also want to do, let's see, what should I do? A little bit of dark blue on this, I think. Like a little bit of Midnight Snack could be kind of cool. And I want to keep this fairly light because Midnight Snack is kind of an intense color. So just going in on 2 different spots here with that. All right, and then we'll go in and just wipe that off, again, to clean the stencil while we're going, and check out how amazing that looks. I love it so much. It gives you such a beautiful coloring of those stars. Looks absolutely stunning. All right, so now I wanna show you guys how you can also use this stencil set just on regular cardstock without using the embossing folder, okay? So for this, I'm gonna go in and just go in with a piece of A2 size stark white cardstock, which again, you'll find in the sampler pack if you're using that as well. And I'm going to go right back in and use the stencil set in a very similar way. But here, I'm gonna follow these etched markers in the corner. If you're using a full sheet of cardstock cut down to exactly this size, you can easily line it up with those etched marks in the corner. But here, I'm just gonna go in and use these etched markings on the top and side and just kind of line those up with our cardstock really easily, okay? So this is stencil number 1 with those super easily lined up, and that's really great that you have those because now you don't need to have it embossed in order to line it up with your cardstock, okay? So you can totally use it on the flat cardstock too, which I think is so much fun. I'm gonna go in here with a little bit of that mint masking tape just on the edge here to make sure that we don't go over the edge with our color. Then let's go in and follow the same steps. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of shooting star ink, blend this out. And so now that we've done it once, I'm gonna kind of speed through this, do a little speed round of blending here, and you can see just how much great coverage you get with these blending brushes. I love how large they are. And someone asked about a different size blending brush. Definitely stay tuned for that. We're working hard behind the scenes. All right. Then we'll go in, wipe this down to remove some of that yellow. Lift that off. So that's the first stencil. Now another way to really easily line it up together too is just by like holding the stencil in place. That way when you lift it off, your new one is kind of right there and ready to go. So that's also another good way to do it. But again, those etched markings can be really helpful for you too. See, it wasn't perfect when I did that, so the etched markings really will never fail you, which is what I love about that. So I'm just lining it up with that top edge. All right, then we'll go in back with our mint tape. All right, and we'll go in and blend this out. What colors did we use? I think we used Prom Queen and and 100% juice for this one. So again, we'll go in Do a little speed round of blending here. We'll keep the color lighter in a couple little areas where we're going to add that 100% juice in. Just bring that in, here and there. All right. Wipe that off. Tracy said, yep, doing that, I immediately got inky fingers on my white cardstock. Yes, 100%, I've done it too. That's why I like keep my stencils really clean as I'm doing it, just so that I can kind of try to avoid that, because it's definitely happened to me before. The inky fingers will really get you. All right, and then I'll line it up again with the edge. Stick it down into your sticky mat, and then we'll go in, mask that right off. And for this one, again, I'll go in with a little bit of Clear Skies, blend that through. And again, we'll go lighter in some areas, so I'm holding up my pressure now so that I can be lighter in some areas. That way I can add in my midnight snack. And I mean, these ink pads with the blending brush just combined really give you like a super easy way to apply inks. I think they just apply ink so quickly and easily, especially if you want to be light-handed with it. If you've got a heavy hand, it might be like difficult. You might get a little too much ink, but after you kind of practice with them for a while and you really get used to how the stellar inks work along with your blending brushes, it's smooth sailing from there on out, and it's just such a great blending experience. But don't worry if you have the Simon Hurley inks too, they work just as well. You just have to rub them a little bit more, like a little bit harder, back and forth on the surface of your felt, and that will get you just as much ink. So this is really awesome because now you can go in and apply like a texture paste if you want to over top of these to really give it a ton of color and sparkle too. But I'm not going to do that in today's card, but I just wanted to let you know that that is an option. But I did this flat on the cardstock because I wanted to show you how to use this embossing folder together along against your cardstock and like get a dimensional area that's raised off, but also fill in the whole background. Of course, you could also rotate the stencil and do it the other way too. But I like to do this where you can kind of like overlap them like this and have one that's raised off the surface, but then have everything colored in with the stars. So that's what our background is going to look like. Now let's put together our focal point for the card. All right, so I'm just gonna go in here and I'm going to wipe this off quickly. Yes, Tracy said it's beautiful, but she loves the embossed one. Yes, the embossing is just to die for. It's so good. The team does such an amazing job with the designs of those. It's like really formulaic how they do it to get the raised and lowered areas and like make sure they're perfect. But they do such an amazing job. And they have to make sure the cardstock's not gonna crack either. They are so insanely talented. So a huge shout out to the Spellbinders team for working on all these folders and just perfecting them because they are amazing. All right, so let's go in and do our coloring. And I've already done lots of die cutting with my Scout die cutting machine. So all I need to do is just show you guys how to put these together. But I'm going to go in quickly and do a little bit of shading and dimension to this. So I'm going in with a little bit of woof. And then this is where I'm going to bring in these little Altenew detail brushes. Again, I have one for each color family off to the side and another lipstick organizer here. And this is just going to help me to add a little bit of dimension to the die cuts that I'm doing. So this one is actually called To the Moon. This is a really awesome set because it's got a great rocket ship in it, along with some stars, a little shooting star that you can make, and then also the moon, which is awesome. So I'm gonna go in and do a little bit of shading. You can find all the products that I used down below in the description box. The embossing folder that I just used is called Starry Night, and this set is called To the Moon. There are some bundles down there, so you can definitely shop those bundles as well. And try using the coupon code at scrapbook.com and see if it takes it off of this. So that just adds a little bit of depth and shading. It really brings these images to life. I just add a little bit all around the edge or wherever things are meeting. So if they meet each other, I add a little bit of shading there too. I'm also gonna go in with this color called Shady. I love shady. It's this kind of dark gray, almost charcoal color. And for these little wings, I'm gonna go in and just shade kind of the top half of the wing to give it a little bit of depth and dimension. And then for these side wings, I'm gonna shade where it's going to come out of the rocket ship. My team always tells me they want me to show you guys how to shade your die cuts because this is the one thing in die cutting that I'm kind of good at. And I just think that this little extra step really brings them to life. So we've added a little bit of shading on there. If you want an item to look kind of like round, like it's 3D coming towards you, you're gonna add ink to both sides and then leave the center lighter. And that's gonna make it look like those are further away from you and shadowed, and that top area is more towards you and lighter. So anything that's you want to look 3D and towards you, like rounded like this, do the edges dark and leave that centerpiece round. And then we're also going to shade these little pieces. And again, we'll do both sides to make them look round and 3D. Really easy to do. And then let's go in and add some shading to the flame. For the flame, I'm gonna go in and use a little bit of orange. So for this, I'm using Guppy, if I can find it. And I'm gonna go in and just shade this in with a nice orange color. I actually wanted this to cut out orange, so little life hack if you want something to be a different color than you cut it out in, but you just cut it with one piece of cardstock, you can always shade it, and I'll add a little bit of shading to this flame too. And then we'll go in with our yellow blending brush and add a little bit of yellow. So I just do this with all of my die cuts. Now, if you're doing something super intricate and you think that, you know, all the little pieces that you're already adding is gonna add enough dimension, feel free to not do all of this, but this is just, it's kind of fun for me. It's therapeutic, but it also just really adds a lot of dimension to your project and really makes it stand out. So again, I want this to look round, so I'm doing the edges and leaving the center yellow, or lighter yellow, sorry. All right, so that looks good. Now let's go in and add everything together. Sorry, I'm gonna do one more thing. For this little window piece, I wanna add just a little bit of sparkle to it. So for this, I'm actually gonna go in with Phoenix Feather. This has been one of my favorites. This one is available exclusively in the scrapbook.com SBC Fest kit right now, so if you want that, check out the link down below. I have it linked there. It's a really great kit, super amazing value. This is only in there right now, but it'll release later on. It's a clear paste, but it's got this like really great iridescent, warm sparkle to it. So I've been adding it to a ton of projects, and I'm just gonna take my finger in this paste, just a tiny little bit. Really, that's all you need. You can literally see my finger through it. And I'm just going to lightly tap this right onto that window. And this just gives it a tiny bit of sparkle and dimension that I think will make it stand out and be just beautiful. And that little bit of paste will dry in like 30 seconds to a minute. If you want to, you can bring in your heat tool to help it dry as well. And then just easily clean this up. And what I love so much about Astro Paste is once that's dry too, it's not gonna come off on your fingers, so it won't come off on the recipient's hand when they receive that card. And the Astro Paste is heat stable, so I can go in with a heat tool here, easily heat that up, and now it's nice and dry. So again, doesn't take long at all, and check out, oh, the camera kind of blows it out. I wish it didn't. It has an amazing warm sparkle to it. You can totally use glow paste or embossing powder with this. I just find that Astro Paste is so easy and sparkly, which I love. All right, Sylvia got her SBC Fest kit, which is awesome. That's amazing. I can't wait to teach that on September 12th. That's gonna be on their channel. The education portion is completely free, so that's really awesome. But if you want the kit to play around with it, there's only a few left, so definitely check that out. A lot of the products inside of the kit are exclusive and aren't gonna be coming back. So like the floral embossing folder and the floral stencil and dies in there aren't gonna be coming back ever, so definitely check that out with the link down below if you want to. And I've already done quite a few videos sharing the inspiration. So to put this together, it's really easy. There's little like etched lines inside of here that really show you where everything goes. So there's these little bolt pieces that we're just going to add on top of those lines, and that creates, like, starts to really create this amazing rocket ship. Then for the top of the rocket ship, we're going to add another piece, and you could totally cut that out in whatever color you want to, but I'm gonna go in with a little piece of red cardstock that I've done and stick that right onto the top. And I'm using this little like stick it tool from scrapbook.com. I love this guy because it's got this pokey end on one end and then like like sticky tip on one end with wax. So it's easy to just pick up little pieces and stick them down. I use both this and then I also use a little tweezers from Altenew. And I love this little guy too. So you'll see these a lot as I'm putting together my dies today. Then for the rocket ship wings, it's pretty easy. There's a little etched line here where that front wing is gonna go. So we'll add a little bit of glue right onto there. And the Spellbinders team makes it just so easy to put things together like this. With all those little etched lines. We try to make it as easy as possible. So we'll stick that down and then move it around with that little pokey end until it's into place. Perfect. And then for the little side pieces, so there's little side wings, I'm gonna go in and there's little etched lines up here as to how far in you should add that glue down. So I'm gonna go in, add that down. Oh no, I do not have, T said you would have thought that I had great aim if I didn't mention those pieces. Maybe I shouldn't mention it. Maybe next time I'm gonna be like, you know, I'm just that good at gluing these together. No, we make sure that you guys have really easy ways to adhere them down. They're really subtle, but they're definitely there. So that way if you miss them, it doesn't really matter too much if you don't like put it in all the way on the die cut because you won't see it much anyways. But they are definitely there. And we do it very intentionally, just so that you know exactly where things go in your die cuts, and they're gonna look perfect for you when you're adhering them together. So I've got that all adhered down. Now let's go in and adhere this bottom piece, which is kind of that little exhaust pipe. If I had to guess, I'm not really a rocket engineer here, but I'm using my best words to describe these pieces as we put them together. And that just goes right at the bottom of the rocket down here. Right below that wing. And if you get any liquid adhesive, don't worry, outside the lines, that will dry clear usually. So you don't have to worry too much about it. And then let's put together this little flame. So there's a little etched area on the flame too. I swear they really add etchings everywhere that it's needed so that it's really super easy for you guys. And then we'll drop that flame right onto the piece, glue it together, and then we'll add a little bit of glue down to the bottom. And sometimes I like to just leave the piece down on my surface and just press it in to the die cut. That way you can easily line it up and then just put your finger on it to make sure that it's nice and adhered. That's awesome. This is really coming together. You can see it comes to life beautifully. I love die cutting. I'm gonna be honest, I used to be a die cutting hater. I used to be like, I cannot do that, there's too many pieces. But my team at Spellbinders really figured it out how to make these really intricate layered looking dies without having a million pieces. Like this still has a couple of pieces to it, but it's not so intricate where you're having like 30 puzzle pieces and you're really struggling. So I really got to give kudos to the team at Spellbinders for that. They've made me really love die cutting because they've made it a lot easier for me to do it. So then for this window piece, I just put a little bit of glue right onto the back of it. And then again, I just lined it up on my surface. There's again little etched lines to line it up super easily with your piece. And then there's a little window, a little blue window. That's the one we added sparkles to. And we can add that right down onto the rocket ship. And there's this little tiny highlight that you can add into the window if you want to. And I cut that out of white cardstock and we'll just drop it right into there. How cute is this rocket ship? How cute is that? I'm dying. That's cuteness overload right there. I love it. So adorable. Okay. Then for the moon, we're going to go in and just add a little bit of glue onto the top layer of that moon, which I've cut out in a lighter color. Oh, Judy says she loves my dry sense of humor. Thank you. You know, it's what I got. I work with what I got here. Hopefully you guys are almost laughing on the other end. And then we'll just add that down and put it into place. Love it. And there you have that really great 3D looking moon. So cool. Okay, now let's adhere our card together. Now that we've got everything done, I'm gonna put these away. I'm gonna put my little cap into my glue. Sometimes I forget and this dries out and I have to really poke it. So put that in there. Make sure that it doesn't dry out. All right, now let's go in here. I'm gonna jump into the Stark White sampler pack. We also sell these individually too, but again, if you wanna try it out, this is a great way to do so. We sell these Stark White card bases that are already scored and cut for you, so it's really easy. And whenever you already have something scored, you're gonna score with that mountain fold where it's kind of towards you, facing towards you, and then you'll fold that down, and that gives you the best crease. For the first couple of years of my card making career, I would score it the other way, and I'd be like, well, why is this kind of weird? Like, it's not as smooth as you'd want it to be. It's because that makes it a lot easier. I don't know where my bone folder is right now. This is the part of the video where we kind of don't remember where things are and things go missing. So I'm just gonna use a random item here, another die cutting tool to score that down. All right, then let's go in, and I'm going to go in with the piece that we've already created. We're gonna go in with our tape runner, and we're going to add some to the back of our cardstock. And whenever I'm lining up a background, especially if it's a top folding card, I'm going to open that top folding card up, make sure we have the folded side over here, and then I'm going to line that background up with the top edge of our card, and then line it up along the edge, and it should line up perfectly, okay? But I do that because you can't cut off that top end, unfortunately. So you can only cut kind of this bottom edge. So if things don't line up on the bottom area, you're good to cut that off. But on the top edge, you wanna make sure it's nice and pristine with that top folding card. All right. Then let's do these stars next. And with this, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of foam tape. I love this Altenew foam tape recently. I've been ranting and raving about it. This is their 1/16 inch height foam tape. But I love it because it's like the perfect amount of stickiness, but it's not hard to like peel, and it's not hard to cut through, and like doesn't leave stickiness everywhere. So I love it. Sometimes foam tape is a nightmare, but this one is a good one. Lucy said this is her first time watching live, and the production is so good that she's almost hard to believe this is live. Well, thank you so much. That's my goal. You know, before I started doing these live streams, I wanted to make sure that the production level was still there and kind of a similar quality to my videos, so that it's still very watchable for you guys if you're watching after the live stream. I wanted to make sure it's fun for both you guys that are here right now, but also people who are watching later. So I'm glad you're loving it. This has been so much fun for me to do these lives together with you guys. Okay. So now let's go in and rip these off super easily. Again, those come off super easily. And then we'll go in, and I want to just trim this down quickly. So I'm going to just trim down the edge because there's this little edge on the design. I'm pretty sure it has to be that way to be in spec with the embossing folder. So you just want to trim that right off. And I want to do that before I line things up. So we'll go in and trim that off, and now we can line it up with the edge. Now you get to choose how you line this up. And I think it's gonna go like right, how should this go? I think right there, that's cool. And I'll just line it up with this edge this time, because we can't cut that off, of course, but then we can cut off the top and bottom edge. So all I'll do is go in with a scissors and chop that right down. These Spellbinders snips are amazing. They're really great. Super strong scissors, so they can cut off that edge, and now you have a nice clean and smooth background. But check that out, I love it. I love that background because it's kind of overlapping, but you get that texture and dimension from this embossed side. You also get that kind of raised element with the foam tape, but then it's still colored on both sides. So I think that's super cool. Now, should we add a little bit of blending here? I think we should. I know, what if I ruin it? But we're gonna go for it anyways. So if this turns out horrible, do as I say, not as I do. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Stellar ink in Midnight Snack, and again, the world famous blending brush. Now I'm gonna tap this off to the side because I wanna get rid of some of that color to make sure it's not super strong, because I re-inked this ink pad recently. And we just wanna go in super lightly and just go in on the edge and give this a little bit of depth, okay? I'm barely pressing on this. And it gives us a nice dark edge, and then we can kind of blend that in. And I just want a little bit of color. And then it really blends out super smooth. These blending brushes, let me tell you. But it blends out smoothly, so you don't have to worry about it leaving any harsh marks. I don't think I would do this if I didn't trust this blending brush so much, but I really am putting all my faith, trust, and pixie dust into this, and I think it's working. I think that's cool. But of course, if you don't like this, if you think it's ugly, just leave this section off your card. But I think that's super fun and just makes it look a little bit more spacey. So I don't think that's an adjective, but we're making it one. Spacey, that's my word of the day. All right, and then we'll go in, and to make this a interactive card, I want to show you a really easy interactive piece. So these are action wobblers. I love me an action wobbler. So they come in these smaller sizes, but also these large sizes. They're amazing because they make the card wobble, but they can also be folded down into the card. So if you want to put this to the mail, it's really easy to do. Let's see, which one's gonna fit? I think this large action wobbler is gonna actually fit on here perfectly. So all you need to do is peel off the one side. And let's see, let me go in with my tweezers here to peel this off. So we're peeling off the harder plastic side. Oh no, my tweezers did such a good job, it almost peeled off the adhesive. Stick that back down. And we're going to place this harder plastic side right down onto the rocket ship. Super easy to do. Oh, and we want to make sure it's not going off the edge. So do as I say, not as I do. And we'll just line that up really easily and press it down into there. So that sticks it down to the rocket ship, and now we'll stick it down to our card project. Now I just want to make sure before we stick it down that our sentiment's going to fit. This is a sentiment from the Space Greetings. It's also in this release, and I think I want it to say love you to the moon and back. So we'll do love you. We could put it above, but I think it's cool down here. So it'll say love you to the moon and back, just like this. And I like that it's kind of hanging over that edge. And then we'll have the rocket ship right here. And then should we have the moon? Oh, I think that's cute. Yeah, adorable. How cute is that? Okay. So we're going to line this up. Did I finish my sentence? It's called Space Greetings, but it comes with a bunch of greetings in there. So it comes with like happy birthday, Earthling, and really great greetings like love you to the moon and back that go along with this theme, which is awesome. Great for like kids' birthday cards, or I don't know, really any card. I would love to receive this. Okay. So we'll go in and place our little rocket ship at an angle like this on our action wobbler, and then place it right down. So secure that into place. And the awesome part about that action wobbler is the bottom of it is clear. So even when it's shaking, it's not going to obstruct your design. You won't even be able to tell that it's there. And check that out. That rocket ship shakes now. That is one risky flight though. I would not want to be in this rocket ship, but how fun is that? It really makes the card come to life. And it's like I said, the easiest way to make an interactive card, and it flattens down into the mail. So really great. Then let's do everything else right onto the card because I don't want to add too much more dimension for mailing. So I'll just go in with a little bit of liquid glue, that barely arts adhesive, and we'll adhere down our moon in the corner. And then we'll adhere down our sentiment. And so we'll just place it down to test it out again. So and back is going to go in that bottom corner. Cute. And then we'll go to the moon. It is the, oh, you know what? Susan, you're a genius. Susan said perfect Halloween moon. You know what, Susan? That might be a live stream coming up. Because I was like, I really want a moon. I was about to tell my team. But little did I know I already have one. Oh, you're a genius. I love that. Okay, so there we go. The to the moon. And then we'll do love you. See, this is why I love hanging out with you guys. You bring the good ideas here. All right, then we'll do love you right here. All right. Okay, how fun is this? I love it. Now I still have one other card planned if you guys want to stay with me. If you don't, just let me know and I'll leave. But I think the next one will be really fun as well. But how cute is this one? I love that background, using the Starry Night embossing folder and stencil set to create those adorable stars. Of course, then bringing in that rocket ship from the To the Moon set with the moon is absolutely adorable, and the action wobbler just really brings it to life. I think it's so cool. And then of course, finishing off with the sentiments from the Space Greetings set. The Love You to the Moon and Back is such an adorable sentiment, and I think it's amazing. Lots of you guys said you're staying. So I think it's time for a second card. What do you guys think? I think let's jump into it. We're going to be creating a shaker card using another set from this space themed set. This one is called, what's it called? UFO Friend, I think. And it's got an adorable little alien. I can't wait to show you how to put it together. So let's jump in. This UFO Friend set, let me show you what it looks like. It looks just like this. There's quite a few dies inside of here, and you get an adorable little alien that you can use with or without the little UFO. But let's put this guy together, and then we'll create the background and shaker card. But I think in this instance, we want to create the image first, because that will kind of show us where the shaker pieces should go on our card. All right, so we'll go in here. I'm again using these little craft Stax containers. If you guys haven't seen these are game changing. I've been using them in all of my live streams pretty much, but I use them all the time when I'm crafting too. They've got little lids to them, which I tend to put things in. And then of course they can stack up. So this was the one that had all my other pieces in it. You can stack them on top of each other. They work perfectly like that. And then you can just really prepare your projects. They also have larger sizes and stuff, but like I do it whenever I'm die cutting so that I don't lose little pieces, because there's lots of little tiny pieces in sets like this that I do not want to lose. So this makes it super easy to not lose them. Of course, with this, again, we're gonna do a little bit of shading and depth. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of woof again. And even if you don't shade every little piece when you're die cutting, I do like to recommend to just shade like the largest pieces. So like this UFO is huge. So we're gonna go in here and add a little bit of shading and dimension down to the bottom of it. And then we'll also add a little bit of shading to either side. That's gonna make it look 3D. And then let's see. We'll add a little bit of shading to this. All right. Then, should we add a little sparkle to the window? I think the alien might need a little sparkle. And then we're gonna also add a little bit of purple down to this one. And I think I'm just gonna go in with my purple blending brush. Sometimes, guys, I'm lazy. I don't know if you can relate, but sometimes I do not wanna get my ink pads out. So this is what I do, okay? I take my blending brush. This has already got ink on it, of course. And I just blend down. Easy. We're gonna add a little bit of purple to either side. Now, I don't know what purple is on this blending brush. It could be Crown Me, it could be 100% juice. It looks like 100% juice, but that's the great way to do it if you're feeling a little lazy and you don't want to get all your inks. Just add a little ink down that way. That won't hurt anyone. All right, and then again, for this little window, we're gonna go into our SBC Fest kit, grab out a little bit of Phoenix Feather, and we'll go in here and add this down. And again, take just a little bit on your finger. You don't need a lot of this at all. And I'm gonna go in and just tap this right onto the surface. And again, this is that iridescent, kind of warm toned, clear glitter paste. And again, this will be releasing after the kit. So you'll definitely see it on the market afterwards, but it is exclusive to the kit right now. So really awesome. Oh, Tammy says, every time she hears my ink color names, she laughs out loud, Woof. Yes, Woof was named for my dog, actually. And so that's why I named Woof. And then I have another one called Gurr. So it was for my my dog who's black and white, which is the gray one. And then the brown one is for my little brown dog. We had 2 cockapoos, and they were absolutely adorable. So kind of a little memory of them, actually. And they both, unfortunately, not to get too dark, passed this year. So, but it's really fun that we still have those ink names kind of in memory of them. They were the best dogs ever. So I'm gonna go in with my Astro Paste here, heat set this to help dry along the process. But again, so we applied so little paste that it'll dry really quickly. And then, check that out. The best sparkle ever. And that's not gonna come off on your fingers. So really, really amazing. I love that that Astro Paste stays on the surface, but still gives you so much sparkle and dimension. All right, now let's add all of this together. So put this together. I'm gonna go in with my Barely Arts liquid glue again. I'm gonna go in with this little top purple piece for the UFO. We'll add a little bit of glue to the back of it. And we'll add that down. Now I'm gonna add it down again. There's that little etched marking. So again, we'll just add it right down on top of that etching. And that glues it down really nice. And this is where that blue window is gonna go, but we're not gonna add that down yet because we're gonna wanna add the alien to that first. There's also little tiny etched lines where the little lights can go. Now you could totally leave that if you want to and not do them if you don't wanna deal with little pieces. Like every little layer is totally optional, but I like to do these little details to really bring it to life. I think they really add tons of texture and dimension to these pieces. So we'll go in with our little scrapbook.com tool again and just go in with that little sticky edge and we'll adhere these right down to our background. And then we'll use the other edge that's got that little pokey tool to poke it into place. Cute. And this just makes the cutest little lights on the UFO. How adorable is that? All right. Got two more little lights to add. And then the last one here. Okay, how cute. So it adds tons of dimension to that. Thank you guys, you're being so sweet in the comments. Yeah, everyone says, sorry for the loss of your fur babies. Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay. Oh, then there's a little bit more texture and dimension, but we'll add that actually after with the window. So for this window, we're going to add everything that we want inside of this window before we add it down to our project, because we're going to cut it off the bottom edge before we add anything in there. So to do this, it's quite easy. I'm actually going to just add a little inside of here. There is a little piece, but I forgot to cut it out. But you can always just grab a little piece of black cardstock and chop it out. There is a little piece in the die set, so don't worry about it. You can always cut it out of there. But if you forgot it like I did, this is an easy way to fix it. So we'll just glue a little bit of glue to the back of the mouth, and then a little black piece of cardstock is gonna fill that in and make it look like his little mouth. Cute. And then to put this together, super easy, we'll add a little bit of glue down for the eyeball. And then we'll add the eyeball down with our little tweezers. Adorable. I literally can't. This is so cute. I keep saying it, but like, I can't. These die sets are amazing. And then let's see. Where's the little black piece? I swear I had a little piece that I cut. Maybe I lost it with all the other pieces that I pulled out here. Let me just go in and do it myself then. There is a little black eyeball, but apparently I lost it. So we'll go in and add a little black mark myself. Cute. All right. Let me grab this black pen. That one wasn't working too well. And we'll just make a little black eyeball. Fun. And then let's go in. We're gonna add our little blush to either side. And again, there's little etched lines, little markings where you can add it down. Oh, yeah, there we go. I was gonna say, did I lose the blush too? And then for this is where the pieces get tiny. So you don't need to add the blush down. We made the little indents there so that if you don't wanna add them, it'll still add texture to his face. But I mean, it just brings your little guy to life. So cute. And then we're gonna add down the little top piece for him, and this gives him little alien looking antenna, which there's a couple different variations of it inside of this set, which I think are adorable. So you can add them right down. There's like one with a little star, and there's a couple little ways you can add them down. There's also little tiny purple dots you can add right on top of there, and that just gives these a little bit of dimension and brings in a different color tone too for him. So again, I had those down. You could just leave this green if you want to though, if you want to skip that. Like this is all up to you. It's all optional from here on out. And then we'll add down, oh, his little birthday hat. How cute. because we're going to use the sentiment Happy Birthday Earthling. So that's just adorable. And Jill says, adorable, had to order for the grandkids' birthday cards. That's so amazing. They're going to love it. I just love that we included that birthday sentiment because I think it makes this set so versatile for kids. And like, how adorable is that? There's also a piece in here that fills in that little stomach with color behind him. But what we're going to do is go in with a little bit of glue. And we're only going to really use the top half because he's going to be kind of like sitting in his little UFO. So we won't even need the bottom half. We'll just add it down right like this. And he's now in his little spaceship controlling his UFO. How cute. No, how adorable is that? I love it. All right, Jennifer said a Google eye would be great. I think that would be so cute. And then I'm going to go in and trim off that bottom half. Oh my gosh, adorable. And now he's sitting in the UFO, flying it. All right, so we'll add a little bit of glue down to this little open space, which then we're going to slide this little piece into. Fits in there perfectly. Thanks to the Spellbinders team for engineering that so well. And then this little bottom edge, right here, we're gonna add a little bit of liquid glue to. And that is going to be this little kind of metal piece that goes right in between there and finishes off that area. And so that gives it a really great, clean, finished edge once you're all done adhering everything together. Love it. How cute is that? It's really coming together nicely. And then last but not least, there's this little tiny antenna that we can add on top just by adding a little glue to it. And then I'll stick it right in there. Stick a landing right there. Perfect. How fun is that? I love it. He is so cute. Okay, then inside of this set, there is also this little kind of rectangular piece. This is what we're gonna create the shaker card with. So I cut it out of yellow cardstock just to show you what it would look like. You can totally add it down like this. I've added a little astro paste down to this to make it glittery, which is so fun too. But we're gonna do some die cutting instead today. So we're gonna move some things off to the side here, and we are going to die cut this out. So I'm going to cut it out a piece of navy blue color wheel cardstock. This is that Spellbinders color wheel cardstock, which is awesome. And then let me just plan things out. So I want the window, like the die cut window, to be kind of at an angle like this. I think that's kind of fun. And then where should we put the sentiment? Let's do happy, and then we could do like birthday earthling, like somewhere down here. All right, cute. We'll finish planning it later on, but I just wanted to get kind of an idea as to where things will go. So what we're gonna do is go in with this little rectangle die that we have, and I'm just going to place it right there. So now that we've planned out where we want it to go, that was very technical, right? No measuring, no nothing. We're gonna move it off to the side and place this down. That's how I work around here. There's no measurements, absolutely none of that. We don't do math around here. This is crafting, it should be fun, no math. And then we'll go in and die cut this guy out. To do this time, I'm gonna go in with my large Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine, and we'll go in right in here and run this guy right through. And we'll stare at each other awkwardly as we cut it out. All right. And then this is all nice and die cut out. And now we have the perfect little window for our shaker card. Yes, exactly. Tammy says, fly by the seat of your alien. I agree. That is how we roll around here. Okay, so that is like the perfect look for our card now. Then I'm gonna use a little bit of those stencils, and we're gonna do some stenciling with our stars. Now for this one, we don't need to use every single layer. We're just gonna use like one of the layers to create our stars on the background. So all I'm gonna do is go in with like stencil number 2. We'll bring in a little bit of Midnight Snack, and we're gonna do some tone on tone inking, just so that you guys can really easily color this in. So we'll go in with the medium blending brush again and blend this out. You guys were expecting the astronaut helmet again. I could have, but I figured I would it was save you a little time. Save you and me a little time. It's hiding under my desk right now, so I don't quite have the best access to it. All right, so cute. We've got a couple of stars, and now all I'll do is just like flip this, rotate it, and then we'll go the opposite direction and blend the stars in. And again, super easy to add this ink down. It's like nothing has been easier with these blending brushes and the stellar inks together. I mean, it's like a match made in heaven. And then we'll go in and let's just fill in some areas with a couple more stars. So here we're gonna do some selective inking just to like fill in our card with the desired amount of stars. See, we don't need to be perfect. These layering stencils are amazing, like using how they were designed, but also go rogue with them, have fun. Nobody's telling you you can't. This is card making. There's no card making police that's gonna stop you here. If you're not using the layering stencils with all the layers in it, I won't tell anyone. We're gonna go in and just blend those out. I think that's so cool. Super cute, and I love how it turns out. Should we also go in? Let's do it. You know what? Let's do it. I'm also gonna go in with a little bit of solar spray. And let's see. Yeah, I think that'll be really fun. So let's go in here and solar spray this baby. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of deep end for this, and I'm going to shake this up. Now with solar spray, you wanna make sure to shake it up because the bottom of it's gonna have some white mica on the bottom. So you wanna mix this up. There's a little mixing bowl inside of here, so you just need to really easily shake this up until that mica is all mixed in there. I'm gonna move it away from the microphone so you guys don't have to hear that awful mixing noise. If your mixing ball isn't moving around in there and you don't hear that noise, just go. And usually that helps it kind of get unstuck because sometimes it's stuck in that mica sludge there. But you want to mix this up. You don't want to see any white at the bottom. Sometimes I've seen people go in and spray these with the mica still being there and it clogs. So then you have to get a new sprayer, which we do sell replacement sprayers, but I'd rather you guys not have that issue. So if you want to avoid that, just make sure it's nice and mixed before you do any spraying. All right, let's go in and cover this up. I don't have like any scraps, so unfortunately, I'm gonna use some cardstock to cover this up right now. And go in with a little bit of deep end, and then we'll go in and lightly mist that right across the surface. And these solar sprays are amazing. They are a clear spray with the colored mica inside of it, but the mica is kind of like a shifting mica. So on dark colored cardstocks like this, you'll see the color a little bit more, but on like a white colored cardstock, you barely see that color at all. So it's really fun for effects where you don't want the color or you don't want the spray to be like in your face, and then it's just kind of subtle in the background there. All right, then I'm going to wipe off the stencil before we do it one more time. And then we'll just go in, line up our stencil one more time. And then again, even like that little amount of time, there's not anything on the bottom right now, but like I just like to give it a little shake before I mist it. And then we'll go in again and just mist those down super easily. I can't wait for you guys to see what this looks like. I think it's gonna be beautiful. Okay, we'll lift this right off. I want to be careful not to shift it. There we go. How awesome is that? Okay, so then in order to clean this up, this is water soluble, so all you need to do is go in with a little bit of water and wipe it up. Super easy to do. I love it. And then also I just go in with my heat tool here, heat set that because that's going to help it dry really quickly, and then I'll show you guys what those amazing stars look like. So definitely check out those solar sprays. They come in 12 different colors, so really great color selection. And the colors are important because on camera, I don't know, can you guys see it? Yeah, you can totally see it from that angle. You can really see the blue that's coming through with that deep end color. That deep end is sort of like a pretty true blue, but it's a little bit lighter. There's also a beluga, which is a darker blue, but amazing. But I love this spray because again, look at it straight on, you barely see it. Like you just see a little bit of a white haze almost. And then when you look at it, amazing. I love that. So cool. Okay, now let's create one more thing. So I'm gonna go in again with a navy piece of cardstock, and I'm gonna go in with a little bit of solar spray again, but this time I'm gonna go in with a little bit of deep end, but I'm also gonna go in with, let's see, Royal Flush, and I'll also go in with a little bit of Pity Party. Let's do that. And then let's do, I think that should be good. Should we bring in a little yellow too? Let's do a little bit of golden hour. So then all of these colors, I'm just gonna go in and shake them up. So again, get your workout in for the day. This is what we call shake weights in the crafting world. Practically maracas over here. Just get them nice and mixed until you can't see that white mica in the bottom of them. Okay, pretty much mixed. All right, that looks good. Again, mica check. There's no mica at the bottom there. So that's great. And then we'll go in and spray some of this down. So I'm just gonna create kind of a little area of spray on here that looks like the alien is abducting you. I want kind of mystic colors in here. So we're gonna go in and spray down a little bit of deep end then. That mixes so beautifully with Pity Party. And Pity Party is actually in the SBC Fest kit too. So if you get it, you'll get that Pity Party to try out. Spray down a little bit of Royal Flush, and then we'll add in a little bit of gold with Golden Hour. And I'm gonna spray that down kind of up there. And then we will heat set this to make sure that it dries. And this just creates such a beautiful, like, magical looking colored cardstock. Of course, you could use Astro Paste for a little bit of glitter. You could use any pattern papers that you have in your stash. I actually don't have any pattern papers because I prefer to just kind of make my own like this. And this is so fun too, because usually like paper, like mica cardstock doesn't have like 3 or 4 colors mixing together on it like this. So that's what I think is so cool about it. And of course, this is on darker colored cardstocks. On lighter colored cardstocks, you will still see that shine, especially in real life. Like I can still see that there's blue there. I don't know, it kind of washes out on camera, but you can still see that there's blue and a little bit of a shine, but it's more of a surprise on the white, which I think is cool, because then you can do more effects with it and not have it be as bold. All right, so then let's go in here, wipe this up. I'll dab off some of the excess, and then let's go in and start putting this card together. Amazing. So we'll go in here. I'm gonna trim this guy down just so it's a little bit smaller. So I can put it down on the card right below that area that we're gonna put the sequins. All right, that is good. And then let's see. I think that's awesome. Let's do like right there. I like that yellow and pink that we've got. So we'll cut off a little bit at the bottom again. All right, and then let's start adding things together. Yes, I see lots of comments about, yeah, using a lot of different things. Definitely, you don't need to use every single thing that you're seeing here. Like if you see a tutorial, for sure, you can kind of incorporate the things that you have or you want to use and leave out some other things and just kind of make the card your own. So definitely don't worry if I'm pulling in too much for you here. Don't worry, but I also want to show for the people that do have, you know, lots of different kind of things, how you can use them in a unique way and really share some fun techniques. Okay, so let's go in. I'm gonna add this down on the surface first. So I'm gonna add it like right there on the card project. So we're just gonna go in with our tape runner and adhere that down, super easy. So again, this is how I do my math here. I just place it down and it looks good there, so I leave it there then. All right, now that's adhered down. I love that. And then let's go in and start adhering everything together. So I'm going to not adhere down the UFO until the end because I don't want to get it dirty if I'm flipping this background over and stuff. So let's show you how to do a shaker card now, okay? Because I got a lot of different shaker card tips so that you can make sure that it's working perfectly for you, okay? So the first thing with the shaker card is I like to, especially when I'm working with the acetate piece, I like to just use tape runner. So instead of using liquid glue around here, I'm gonna just tape runner around this. I just find that it dries easier, so it'll be less of a mess for you as you're doing it. I'm gonna take this piece of acetate, and scrapbook.com has a really good set of kind of thick acetate that you can use, and just adhere that right down. So that adds down your acetate window, which is gonna keep your sequins in place. And then I'm gonna go in with this foam tape. Now, this is scrapbook.com's foam tape. You can cut down your own foam tape that you have. This is awesome though, because you've got quite a few foam in here, but then it's also cut down into strips already for you. So I want to just show this as an option because it's amazing because you can just peel this off, and instead of having to cut your own, they're already cleanly cut for you. So it makes it really easy to just pull that out. You've got your strip. And these are also like the double thickness ones. I think this is, I don't know how thick this is, honestly. 1/8 maybe. But it's amazing because then you can go right in and make your little border for your sequins, but it's already cut for you, which is really nice. I'm gonna go in though and just like stop it and then start up again, but I keep on the backers, okay? That's really important. Keep your backer sheets on as you're adhering this down. Don't peel them off. I know that sometimes you might want to peel it off of here, but it's important to keep the backer sheets intact as you're doing this step. That'll come in handy in just a minute here. So again, trim that down. Am I getting this dirty? No. Okay, there we go. Sometimes you make a mess in your craft room and then you've got a mess on your project, so I just wanted to make sure we weren't making a mess of this background. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna grab another strip just because that one ended before this ended. So I just wanna go in here, peel off another strip. And again, you don't need those strips. You can totally use your own foam tape, but sometimes people ask, like, what makes it easier? Because sometimes shaker cards are a little bit daunting sometimes. And so that's one tip I can give that can just help a little bit. And then just make sure that all the pieces meet perfectly. So once they meet and are in place just like that, you should be good to go. Now I'm also going to go in with some larger foam. So I think this is that same thickness. Let's see. Is it the same thickness? It's a little bit thicker maybe. Okay, well I'm gonna go in with these foam strips maybe then, and we'll just add them down to our background, unless, I'm gonna just try this foam and see if this will work. So this is Altenews foam. It comes in a little bit of a thicker size too, and I think it's a similar thickness to the shaker window, hopefully. So I'm gonna just flood the rest of the background with this thick foam. All right, so you just wanna add foam all the way around so that your card is nice and sturdy. I'm definitely thinking this is a little bit thicker, but hopefully it still works out. Oof, do as I say, not as I do. Make sure you're using the same thickness of the foam all throughout, for sure. All right. And the worst part is I know that I have that Scrapper.com thickness of foam somewhere around here, but don't ask me to find it in my craft room right now, because I definitely won't. Okay, this is where things get really important, okay? You wanna make sure to go in with an anti-static powder tool. This is why we kept the backings on, because this has like an anti-static powder that's going to unstick the edges and also unstatic the acetate, okay? So I just do it right on the inside edges of this foam. That's gonna make sure that the edges aren't gonna stick to your sequins, and then also this acetate is becoming less static, clingy, and it's not gonna cling onto your sequins. That is the game changer step for me, okay? That changes everything. I've made a million shaker cards and a lot of them stick to the edges and, you know, get lost everywhere, and it's not fun. So by doing that and making sure there's no static in there, it's going to really help to make sure that your sequins shake freely in here, okay? Then we're gonna go in with some sequins. Now we've already done a really fun background here, so I don't need to add too many, but I'm gonna add a couple sequins in here. So we'll go in with some like purple stars. Oh, these are butterflies, but that'll work. That'll work anyways. We'll add some of those down. I love these. These are like jewel tone sequins, but use whatever sequins you have. These are definitely long gone, long retired by now, but use what you've got. I also love these. These are like iridescent ones, and I think these will be fun to mix in here too. All right, and I think that's good. We don't need to overwhelm. Actually, one more. We're gonna do these iridescent stars. All right. Do as I say, not as I do. You don't want to overfill this, but I think that's a good amount of sequins, hopefully. And then we'll go in and peel off our backer sheets. Now, sometimes I put the sequins down onto here first, so you can really easily flip this over. But I'm gonna do it this way today. We might regret that decision in a bit, but we'll see. And then peel off the backer for your shaker window. And be careful as you're doing this, because you don't want the sequins to bounce all over the place. But yes, if you wanted to see how things were lining up, if it wasn't a full card background, I would put the sequins down onto your card and then put this on top of it. But I'm doing it the other way around because this is going to be a full card. So I'll just line it up with the edge. You're gonna see my gray hair for a second. All right. And then I'll just place that down and line it up. And make sure to press around the edges of that so that it all sticks down. And I can definitely feel that that foam tape is thinner. Those strips are thinner, so I should have used the same thickness, but I'm gonna just press extra hard there and hope and pray. All right, and then check that out. It shakes beautifully. Maybe I added too many sequins in here because you kind of want them to all fall, but I love that. I think it's like magical and it looks so beautiful in that shaker window. Let me tell you guys, I've been wanting to do this for so long with this UFO when this set first came out. So I think you guys are gonna love that. I love it. And then, yeah, they don't really stick to the edges, which is amazing because of that foam tape trick that we did. All right, now let's finish this card off. You guys are like, Simon, stop talking. Stop yapping on. Let's finish things off here. I'm gonna go in with our foam tape. This time I'm gonna go in with the thinner foam tape. Actually, I'm not gonna use foam tape because it's already thick to mail. I just wanna keep this simple and not add more dimension to it. So I'm gonna go in with some glue, some liquid adhesive, and add that down. And then we'll adhere that down onto our UFO. Oh my gosh, cute. Cuteness overload, honestly. That's so adorable. Oh my gosh. Okay, then I'm gonna go in with the Happy Birthday Earthling. You guys are gonna be like, he needs to stop saying his own products are adorable, but let me just say, they excite me just as much as you guys, as they excite you guys. I truly just love it. They're so fun. When I first get the images and I first get to craft with them, it's so much fun. Okay, let's see. I wanna do Happy Birthday Earthling. Should we do it like that? I think that's cute. I think that reads better than having it way over there. Oh my gosh, I love that. And I love it at an angle like that too. Cute. Cuteness overload, that's what I'm having right now. Okay, let's go in with our liquid glue. Add that down. Then I'm gonna go in, add a little bit of liquid glue up here. Dawn says, I want that set now. Are you giving away any gift cards? LOL. Well, I do have to say, Scrapbook.com is having a sale right now if you use the code SPOOKY at checkout. And it says on fall and Halloween stuff, but I put some stuff in my cart earlier and it worked. So I'm not sure if it'll work on this stuff, but definitely try. Because I want you guys to get any discounts you can. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love the angle. I've been trying things like that lately and I think that's so fun. Usually I would just always make sure that it's like perfect because sometimes my OCD gets the best of me, but that is cute. Sometimes having things at an angle is so fun. All right, this was an amazing interactive card. I love that we were able to turn that UFO set into a shaker. The first time that I designed this, like I said, I knew that I needed to make it into a shaker, but I just didn't have the time to make a video. So I'm glad I was able to go live and show you guys how to make a really great shaker that the sequins move in, they don't get stuck, and then show you how to use those stencils and that background like that for a tone-on-tone look, and a bunch of fun ways to use that solar spray, as well as put together that UFO friend set. Turns out so cute. And of course, these sentiments are from the Space Greetings, that Happy Birthday Earthling, as well as the Love You to the Moon and Back. This was such a fun live to show you guys just two different interactive cards, both of them very simple, right? With just using that spring here with that action wobbler to give lots of action to this card that will fold down into the envelope nicely, and then doing a shaker card. I think these turned out so much fun, and it was a great time revisiting older releases. Like I said, I'm definitely going to use these lives to do that more often, to both not only hang out with you guys and give you even more inspiration, but to be able to revisit older launches that I might not have shown as much love as I wanted to. This one came out in January, and sometimes I feel like we move so fast, and not even that, but like I didn't have as much time to sit down and create a ton of videos. So like being able to show up weekly for you guys instead and give you tons of inspiration this way has been really a blast. So I hope you guys have been enjoying the lives as much as I have. Before I go, I wanted to just wrap up for you guys in case if you missed the beginning. The medium ink blending brush is now available. The Simon Hurley ink blending brush is available. We just got another shipment in at rangerink.com. So again, the first link down below in the description box is for this ink blending brush. Grab it if you've been looking for it, if you've been waiting. I know it sold out like almost instantly when it first came out. So you definitely want to get your hands on that if you've been waiting for it. And also again, there is a sale at scrapbook.com right now if you use code SPOOKY at checkout for all 11% off of fall and Halloween items. Yay, Tammy says she's digging through her stash to see if she has an alien or ship. If not, she's gonna make an SBC purchase, which is awesome. So thank you, Tammy. It's so exciting, and definitely craft with what you guys have first and have tons of fun with that. Christiane says she's never heard of the solar spray. Definitely check out my solar spray videos or rewatch if you missed the solar spray section. Tons of fun there. And then, is it selling in Europe? I'm not exactly sure. You'll definitely have to add it to your cart and see if they ship it over to Europe. I'm not super experienced with that, or maybe some small stores around you, local stores are selling it as well. So you could definitely check with some local craft stores. Yay, Christina says grab those ink blending brushes. She loves hers. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Christina. I'm so glad. It really excites me to be able to make products, especially that are innovative like that blending brush. Like I didn't see anything with the handle at the top like that, with it being a really long, comfortable handle to give you all that control. So I'm glad you love yours. It puts a big smile on my face knowing we've created something that's kind of gonna make your crafting a little bit easier. Yay, tons of you guys. Kathy is saying she needs those solar sprays, and solar sprays are awesome. Thank you, thank you. You guys are so, so sweet. So if you enjoyed hanging out with me tonight, leave me a comment, let me know which card is your favorite. Also give this live a big thumbs up. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and also click that little bell icon next to the subscribe button to notify you next time that I upload a video or go live. I also want to let you know that on Friday, I'll be back this Friday on the 22nd, and I'll be live at 12 p.m. Eastern time sharing a brand new launch, and this one is impeccable. I'm going to tell you right now, I've been crafting all day with it. It's put me out of my comfort zone in a fun way, and it's a really amazing launch. So I can't wait to share it with you this Friday, so be sure to tune back in at that time. All right, thank you guys. I'll talk to you very soon in another card making and crafting video. Bye everyone.